Hola, ¿qué tal? ¿Cómo están? Tenemos aquí a nuestro amigo Satoshi Nakamoto para la sección de Blockchain at Home. Y para eso ahora tenemos al CEO de Quantfury, pero antes quisiera agradecer a Julio Profe y a su comunidad que nos acompañan en el chat y a través de YouTube. También a todos los talentos desde Thailand TV, toda la gente que está en Cinepolis. Y también recordarles que esta y todas las conferencias, incluidas la de Javier Mazur, la pueden ver en Talent TV, en la parte de On Demand, y también en YouTube, en Talent Republic TV. Y ahora con nosotros vamos a tener al CEO de Quantfury para que nos hable qué es lo que podemos hacer cuando transformamos estos papelitos en dinero digital. Entonces, demos la bienvenida ahora a Lev Mazur, CEO de Quantfury, que nos acompaña el día de hoy en esta plática.
Sorry about that. Just
hello. We are live, Lev.
I don't hear you though.
You don't hear me?
Yes, I hear you now.
Well?
Yes, no, it's good.
Okay. Hello, Lev. How are you? And welcome to Talent Land at Home for all our audience.
Hi, Jose. It's good to be with you, man.
Yeah. So, well, I wanted to speak about financial markets and stocks and whatever. But you told me that you wanted to have more a casual conversation. So I don't know if you would like to see how you see that this. I suppose you've been through various different also financial market crashes and whatever. How do you see your perspective on the markets right now, and where do you see that we're going? Because it's very exciting on one part. Yeah, there's this crisis pipe, but also this digitalization of money and new opportunities coming by.
Right. So yeah, it's a good question. So first of all, nobody knows. When I started my career in the financial industry, that was in 1992. That was 28 years ago. And so you could count number of crises. If you look at 1992 as a crisis of emerging markets, you have Eastern Europe, borders of Eastern Europe and Western Europe evaporating. You had Argentina, Brazil, Latin America going up in 90s and then defaulting. You had obviously a crisis and an opportunity, because before every crisis you have a market goes up and kind of down. So you had a 90s internet, and then a crash, NASDAQ crash. You had a 2008, 2007, obviously. So every 10 or 12 years, or no, even less or more, you have, so to speak, a crisis. And if you compare markets to the water, it's kind of almost like an ocean. You got a tsunami, you got a waves, you got a backside, nothing happens. It's like, you're trying to get a stream, get a wind. So and then the question, eventually, the question is if you're optimist or pessimist, if you believe in a human nature and a human progress, or you believe, in a human desire, infinite desire to be greedy. I do believe that obviously now we have a crisis. We have a big crisis. So first of all, by the way, I hope whoever is watching and people in different countries, they're safe, because it's really tough to be everybody. We're kind of equal in front of God. You can have a lot of money, but still, you don't have a vaccine for coronavirus. But the thing is, obviously, this thing is going to hit harder. Populations that are less advanced, have less tools, less access to to capital, and those people suffer it most. It's very heartbreaking. But in general, I would say yes, we are in big crisis, and I don't know what's going to happen. I definitely like to see economy coming back, and that means that would be like a regular economy. People be able to go outside to work. People will be able to perform daily tasks, be it at work or be it at their regular lives. And before that happens, I wouldn't speculate this way or another. I would just I would like to say this. And I'm sorry, you disappeared for a second? Do I see you, or do we still are we still
I
online?
hear you. I
Yes, we
hear you
are.
well.
So I would say it's this. If you look at the market, it's kind of a river, and if you want to cross the river from one side to another, and if you're in the middle, it's very hard to have a plan because the stream will just take you. So in the situations like that, you just want to really observe and be outside. I wouldn't recommend anybody now to make bets. Um, and you have a really underlying big problem, right? You have a problem of national debt that's here for a long period of time. Um, you know, uh, unsustainable economy, unsustainable money out there, which is kind of not really backed by anything. Uh, you're going to also issue of unsustainable wealth differences. So I would recommend anybody to be in the market right now, even if it's a counterproductive to Quantfury, right? Because we probably the product Quantfury is really let people take certain positions and market exposure. I wouldn't take bets now. I would go with things that really work, and that would be not trying to figure out where's the bottom of the market,
Yeah.
or if we're out of this or if it's going to get worse. I really would like to see things getting to normal and then assess what's happening.
Yeah, as you mentioned, well, there are economical cycles, there are financial cycles. Different products and economies have different cycles, and this probably was unexpected for most, not for all, because there were some countries that already, as you mentioned, had some debt problem. But you also mentioned not to make any decisions, but investment decisions. But on the other side, we have had other speakers speaking about having Bitcoin and gold in your portfolio. Probably not for, as you said, making an investment decision now, but yes, to have a dollar cost average or be something that you buy in your portfolio. What do you think about this?
Well, I would say speculate and trying to, like what I was saying is not to make a decision, but trying to call the market bottom or trying to
Okay.
look at that the things are out. So speculate. I'm very bullish on cryptocurrency. I'm not bullish on all the cryptocurrencies, but what you said is a Bitcoin. Bitcoin is supposed to show now that the model works because Bitcoin is a great anti-inflation vehicle where you have a certain amount of value being printed, and that value cannot be inflated like US dollars or other currencies where the government just keep printing. And then also what happens is, and I know all of our listeners or viewers understand, it's not just the government printing money, it's also how they spend that money. If today they can just print the funds and buy stocks or buy corporate bonds. Those are decisions that somebody will have to pay. Essentially, you can have that with the Bitcoin. Um, I would say I would be very cautious about the gold, and let me explain why. If you ask me, you see, when you say buying gold, you need to really understand what are you doing? Are you buying a physical gold, or are you buying a paper gold? If you're buying a paper gold, you may have a problem because every gold contract, future contracts, or any gold ETF, so to speak, has to be backed by a real physical, essentially, product. And when you buy a gold future on CME, which is very safe, Chicago Merchant Exchange, or you buy ETF that reflects gold on New York Stock Exchange, which is very safe, but essentially you really don't know if that much of the gold they're backed and it's really physically exist. And if you have suddenly disappearance of financial markets for a certain period of time because of erratic market movements, how are you going to cash out? How are you going to actually exercise that right for that contract? When you have a Bitcoin, you really have a digital code. So you have a real delivery. You have a certain numbers and a mathematical equation. And I would say that there are more chances that New York Stock Exchange stop trading, or you have a certain default of the gold delivery itself, which may happen actually, then internet stop working. If you bet that internet stop working, then nothing gonna help you, because you will not be able to exchange the Bitcoin. Bitcoin needs internet to deliver that value. So I'm very long on Bitcoin. I think Bitcoin actually acting very well, and Bitcoin is that storage of value that's supposed to work, where you have that enormous amount of money being printed. Having said that, there's an old saying: markets can become much longer irrational than one can be liquid, right? So this can happen for many years to come, and they'll can continue printing money. But I would go Bitcoin number one, gold number two for myself. I'm just telling you, I'm long on Bitcoins. I hold Bitcoins. I like Bitcoins.
And what you say is very interesting because when you invest in gold, that's some uncertainty that we have. But with Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, we have the certainty that once the transaction is made, it's liquidated. And going back to what you said about holding Bitcoin, because there has been a lot of people asking me if it could be a safe haven. It could be. And just looking at Bitcoin versus financial markets, for example, Bitcoin is Bitcoin is up 33% in a year, while most financial markets are down. I mean, year to date, it has also harmed Bitcoin, but it is not negative like most investments right now.
Right. But Bitcoin is also not a mainstream thing, right? So in order to Bitcoin really to go up, I mean, retail never pushes, financial assets to be valued at a certain price. You need really, so to speak, smart money. That's not Bitcoin whales. That's just a smart money, hedge fund, mutual funds, for them to start, storing their, their certain money into the Bitcoins. That's what they're supposed to do. And, I mean, I don't know if we see that. Uh, I don't think we actually. If you ask my opinion, and I shouldn't be talking like I'm a Quantfury CEO. I'm talking as a person looking
Personal
at the
opinion.
charts, looking general. I would say Bitcoin is extremely looking good right now, and it's a good. It's looking much better than, again, the same gold or some stocks out there, because if you bet that the internet will exist, you cannot bet if the Disney will work in 6 months from now, or people keep flying. But you still bet that people will stay at home, and there will be some communication means, internet means, between people. Because if they don't exist, then I don't think if gold will help you, unless it's a AK-47 automatic weapon made from gold, and it's a joke, right? Uh, it's a much safer bet. So I think that we will see double correlation. We may see double correlation. So right now, we see the correlation of the stock market goes up, stocks going up, and the Bitcoin goes up. What I like to see is stocks potentially going down, and the Bitcoin goes up or stays where it is. And I think that, obviously, I wouldn't be very positive. I don't think we have a bullish stock market right now.
No.
So we have underlying fundamental issues with a lot of those companies that need to solve them. And the Bitcoin right now just doing what everybody else is doing. We have a, what do we call, beer market rally, right? So it's kind of a reverse, and everybody trying to see if the market will come out, and the Bitcoin just follows it, right? Well, the question is, what will Bitcoin will do when the stocks get a little bit weaker? And I expect that to happen in the next 1 month or so, towards the summer. Anyway, the stock market used to be a little bit softer. We have an earnings season. Let's see some weakness in the stocks and see what the Bitcoin does. And that can also push some smart money to store their value, their monetary value, into this anti-inflationary vehicle, which is Bitcoin is. And I think we're going to see that test in the next 60 to 90 days.
Yeah, what you said made me remember Jim Rogers, which is the investor, because he said that you always have to have in your portfolio land and food. So to learn to have agriculture, like you said, technology can fail, payments can fail, your investments can fail. But so if you have physical gold, if you have food, if you have land, that is something that, well, unless government takes from you because of a new law, that you actually own and you can actually survive on.
Yeah, but let's be real. Like I'm talking like a simple guy here, right? And it's just the common sense.
Okay.
If you need gold and everything is collapses, I would imagine if I live in a village in near the Mexico City, or I live, in Toronto, there'll be here gangs who will go after my gold. I need to buy weapons. It's just like,
Yeah.
because what this physical gold will do, I'll come to people and say, hey, I got a here half kilogram of gold. I like to sell it in order to buy food. They'll probably rob me from my gold. You got to be in a good shape and have a
Yeah.
couple of guns, right? So
And
if you look, yeah, go ahead. Sorry, to me more.
no,
It's
no.
everything going to be okay. The question is, where what you bet on, what will perform very well. Gold always performs well, but my question is, what do you buy as a gold? And there's not that many vehicles that you can buy. There's a Swiss bank metal accounts where you can actually buy physical gold and store in a Swiss bank. And in Switzerland exists 800 years. So it's kind of a safe bet. And the Swiss central bank doesn't print money, actually, again, it partially backed by the gold too. So um, so and, and so how are you going to also sell it? Bitcoin, it's a very good vehicle against inflation and against a huge monetary supply. What we have today in the world is a huge monetary supply, which will be devalued. Either it's going to be devalued as eventually by inflation or deflation. We don't know where it's going to go, both ways. It can be so much money, people don't buy anything. And so everything prices go down. So the Bitcoin in both ends can store the value better than the gold. That's just my opinion. And you can sell it
And
quickly,
going
right?
into and going into this, I would like to go into stable coins. I use stable coins. I use much more stable coins than I use US dollars or Mexican pesos. And there are also now products built on different blockchains like Ethereum, in which we can have the value of gold. What is your opinion about this? Is it good? Would you have it in your portfolio? Do you,
Yeah,
well, for Quantfury, but personally, do
it's
you use
great.
them?
It is great.
Okay.
Yeah, stable coins do one simple thing. They kill the banks. And nobody needs the banks, because if you can make a payment with a stable coin, which you basically have, what is the bank stores the money. So somebody stores this particular fiat currency, and you have a digital representation of that currency that can move freely between the counterparties, and the exchange of that value can be quickly made, and with less fees, with less questions, good or bad, right? But it's kind of kills the middleman. And the banks, over the last 25 years, they were not part of the solution; they're part of the problem, right? So I do it again. I manage, in a sense. I handle personally stable coins as a way to get in and out of the fiat when you need to. So again, it's a great solutions. It's a great solution. You got a bunch of stable coins. I cannot recommend on one. There's a lot of people saying Tether is not good. There's issues with DAI. There's a bunch of them, but stable coin to me, it's like flying when everybody can drive. Stable coin is great, and it kills banks.
Yeah, it's like building an actual digital new monetary system on top of the value of different currencies. So it's, for me, it's
Yeah.
very interesting, and it's something that will continue to grow. And link with this, we have around 5 more minutes. What is your opinion on decentralized finance and DeFi? I find it also better than most options that currently banks and financial institutions gives in most of countries.
You mean decentralized financing means like a crowd financing, like just peer-to-peer financing, exchange of loans to like to assets versus assets. What do you mean decentralized financing?
Oh, there are products right now made in Ethereum. You can loan your stable coins, for example, and they give it to a pool, and that pool, you get the on the other side part of the income that generates. For example, if you loan for margin trading, etc. So you take out the middleman, and that's something that has been happening the last year in Ethereum.
Right. Well, I mean, I would say that I really can answer this question. I don't really have a clear
Okay.
opinion. if you ask me about decentralized, this is a question here about decentralization. I rather, I'm a CEO of a company which is not decentralized. We're centralized. We do have a decentralized aspects of the things, like you can check certain things on the blockchain, like you can check on the blockchain our volume. You can check on the blockchain. We have a smart contract. The prices that the financial assets traded in Quantfury, which is back to back with the exchanges, and we cannot cheat. There's a certain element like that which we do based on the blockchain. But you see, any decentralization needs liquidity. That's the question. You got to have a liquidity provider, right? You can wait for people to, there's a huge project, so let's fund this project, and we'll wait until 100 to 200,000 people will all donate whatever they need. But essentially, for things to move historically, financial industry, decentralized how it is, it has huge positives, and a lot of those, today fintech exchanges, entrepreneurs, they forget about the huge experience that exchanges like NASDAQ, or like if you look at exchange NASDAQ, fully regulated, fully transparent, it's much more transparent than, I don't know, let's say Bitfinex exchange. Although it's a great exchange, I'm not saying they're what's better or what's worse. But what I'm saying is NASDAQ today, it's more transparent than Bitfinex, which is centralized exchange. And you don't see decentralized exchanges taking off. You need a liquidity provider. So you need the parties that will come and slightly dictate the condition. Before we see big players in that field, like if you ask, decentralized financing. So you have a big parties, so to speak, banks that loan money, they'll go to that field and they'll start moving to the digital currency and start lending that money there. And so you will see, so to speak, peer-to-peer big corporations competing in that field. You're not going to see this economy of scale. That's my opinion. So like in Quantfury, it's a good example. We give liquidity, we give fair market prices, no commissions, but we have to give liquidity. Somebody has to come and take a risk, big guys, and give it. So I don't expect all of us make the revolutions. We need those guys from the other side, the good guys, to come and help us.
I want to thank you very much, Lev. We have a minute left for some closing remarks. If you want to add anything else, I want to thank you very much, and Quantfury, for being part of Talentland at Home. And just remember that you can see this and other conferences in our Talentland on demand. So if you want to close up with something for last minute.
So first of all, I want to apologize. I don't speak Spanish. It's my number one dream language to learn. I'm studying. I will get there. I also really happy that we could help you guys, different people from their homes. We're all the same. We're all being at homes, right? To help a little bit, spend their time better, get smarter, have fun. And I wish everybody to be safe and to pass this stage, get stronger, get better. And we wish everybody, all our users and not our users, the best in their lives. And God bless all of us and help us this tough time.
Thank you very much from Talentland at Home. Thank you, Lev. Thank you, Quantfury. And thank you to all of our Talent Network.
Our pleasure. Thank you.